Evening, everyone. This is the Pmbc meeting for May 26, 2021. Appreciate your attendance tonight. We'll start the meeting out with the warrant. Let me get that up. Can everyone see that?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So we have 5 items on the warrant tonight. The first item is Thrive, which is a invoice from a vendor for the library. It was approved by Sam Alvarez in the amount of $2,460. Johnson & Roberts Architectural Services construction phase for the library. April invoice in the amount of $45,351. Vertex Company, an invoice for April for the police department services, $2,025. The fourth invoice is also for the Vertex Company for the library OPM services for April, $23,685. And the last invoice is Commodore Builders for the library April invoice for $1,403,824.96 for a total of $1,477,346 even. Are there any questions?
Steve, what is it, Thrive Network? What do they do?
Mark, can you explain that?
I do not know.
I looked at the invoice when it came in, and I sent it back to Sam, and I said, please approve this. This is a 50% deposit on something that the library had, requested. So it's a, it's a deposit on some type of service that Sam has approved, and that's all I can tell you.
I'll ask Sam real quick.
Okay.
There's been a lot of discussion of AV equipment and microphones and that kind of stuff that's not part of the base contract.
Yeah, this has nothing to do with the AV.
Okay.
Evidence-based international development. Just looking them up.
Mark, were you going to try to find out?
I'm trying to find out right now.
Just out of curiosity.
Actually, if somebody can open the email that I sent out earlier, the invoice is attached. I just can't do that. Maybe I can. Who knows?
I did that, Steve. I don't see the one for them on there.
Oh, you don't?
No, I see all the others. I don't see that one.
I didn't remember seeing it either. That's why I asked.
Okay. Well, anyway, it's something Sam had approved. I remember looking at it. I don't think I really understood what it was, but I asked him to approve it. He signed off on it, and so it's fairly short money, but
It's
Sam says it's
IT
for
service management.
Yeah, it's modems and things like that.
okay. So it is IT related. Okay. Any other questions?
Steve, as I was looking for that, I noticed one thing, and I just had a quick question. Maybe you can answer. For Vertex, why are their rates different for the same personnel on different projects?
They were quoted at different times, so that's all I can tell you. The the rates that we approved at for the police department were different than for the library, and so
Okay. All right. So, but those were all presented up front and approved. So that's
yeah.
kind of a moot point. All right.
Yep. Any other questions? Is there a motion to approve?
Make a motion that we accept the budget warrant rather and it just disappeared.
In the amount
So
of,
$1,477,346.
right. Is there a second?
I'll second that. Rich Crowley?
Okay, all in favor, roll call. I will just go through the people here on my screen in order. Bob Romilly,
Bob Romley, yes.
Bartlett Harvey,
Bartlett Harvey, yes.
Richard Crowley,
Richard Crowley is yes.
Mike Scuduto,
Mike Scaduto, yes.
Brian Pasquale,
Brian Pasquale, yes.
and Steve Moore, yes. Okay, thanks. So the next item on the agenda is to approve the meeting minutes of 5/12, which I was not present. So I reviewed the meeting minutes and didn't have any comments. Bob, do you want to talk to that as you were the chair of the meeting then?
Yeah, I didn't get a copy of the minutes, Steve. Either I deleted them or they went to Never Never Land, but I didn't read them over. But if you've read them and said that they're fine, then I make a motion that we accept the minutes for the meeting on 5/12/21.
Okay, any second?
I'll second that motion. Brian Pasquale.
Okay, roll call vote. Bob,
Bob Romley, yes.
Bartlett,
Bartlett, yes.
Rich,
Rich Crowley is yes.
Mike,
Mike Scaduto, yes.
Brian,
Brian Pasquale, yes.
and Steve Moore abstains because I wasn't there. You know, I thought Brian was going to be joining us tonight, and I don't see him. So the library update. I don't really have an update for the library. I did see some correspondence come through. There was a couple of issues that Kirby had brought up, and I don't know if they were addressed or not. And since we don't have anyone from the OPM to talk to us,
Mark, any updates for us?
So there were, so there's a couple things on the library that I know. We were waiting on, Brian was going to look into whether there was a cheaper way to do the EV charger than the 20,000 quote that we got, or if you guys thought the 20,000 was a good number. I just texted Brian. He's about to call in, by the way.
okay.
There's some knotweed coming back within the construction site that Commodore will be taking care of. What else did we talk about today? There was some concern with moisture in the concrete with the cork floor sticking, so they're trying to figure out what to do about the binding for that. What did I miss, Bartlett?
Well, there's also knotweed outside of the fence, and
Yes.
Commodore is not going to deal with that unless they get direction from the town to do it.
Well,
So
we
that,
knew that was going to come back, right?
yeah,
Steve, I wonder we should find out how extensive it is, and if it's just local to that area, why not? We can talk to Joe Lyden and maybe get his okay on giving the contractor a change to, if he's going to have somebody in there to eradicate it, we might as well have that same person eradicate it outside, unless it's really
It's quite extensive.
extensive.
It's quite extensive. And as I understand it, you have to go down like 3 feet.
They just
I
can't
think they took quite a few feet out, and I think outside of the construction fence, it's approaching the wetland, so I'm not sure exactly what they would have to do to eradicate it.
Yeah, that loves wetlands.
Yeah.
Um,
Hey, Brian, how you doing?
I'm well, thank you. Sorry I'm late. Thank you.
Congrats, stud.
Thank you very much. It's the reason why I'm a little late, so I
There
apologize.
you go.
Hey, congratulations, by the way.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
I just can't believe he decided to do that in the middle of our project.
Very,
What's
very
wrong? He's got
selfish,
4
very
timing.
selfish.
Oh, geez.
Congrats, Brian.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Congratulations, yeah.
Congrats.
We'll make sure that he gets a library card at the end of the project.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Get his name on the plaque.
Yeah.
So can you give us an update on the library?
Yes, I can. We had our project meeting there today. We met with, we had Johnson Roberts, our architect, and we had the senior project manager from Commodore on the site as well. Had a very productive meeting today. We went through where we stand with construction. We have our binder down that came in off of Shattuck Street down into the job site. So that looks great. They've ongoing with the siding. They're doing some of the prep work around the rear of the building for the remaining siding, and interiors coming along very well. We went over some samples for ACT ceiling as well as the floor, kind of the industrial look of sealed concrete that we're going to have in some of the corridors. I think that Johnson Roberts was really encouraged with that. Some of the hurdles that we're trying to get over right now is our testing for our bidirectional antenna, the BDA system for the fire department and the police station. We've had a test that preliminary was done. It was right on the verge of passing and failing. Deputy Clancy was on site. He did his own test about a month ago where he felt as though it wasn't passing. We started doing some preliminary quotes to get the system installed in the building. At the same time, the electrical subcontractor performed their own official test, and we found that that's right on the verge of passing code. So our next steps is going to either be performing an additional test with the AHJ. We'll have Deputy Clancy and whoever the representative from Chief Bernard to have on site to make sure that they're satisfied with it. And if not, that'll save, quite a large change order that's being proposed.
Yeah, I saw that. That was what, 90, was it 58 or 92,000?
What it was is the number right now is in the 80s.
80s,
But
okay.
what that was using is a rated cable that the engineer of record doesn't believe it needs to be used. So that's without any vetting yet. I think that it would be a severe worst case scenario. We would be working on that number quite a bit. So ultimately, best case, we have all parties on site and we determine that it's not needed. Worst case, it is needed, and we work with that number to get something that we're all comfortable with and that the fire department's going to be happy with as well.
Are you taking bets on that?
Yes. Yeah.
Brian, are your plenums rated? Are your above ceiling, is your above ceiling used for a return plenum?
It is not, no. So there would have to be a rated chase that would be built rather than the 2-hour rated cable. Well, it was a suggestion from the engineer of record, this 2-hour rated cable. We're finding that it's currently being priced over $200 a foot.
You don't need rated cable unless your plenum that the cable's running in is used for return air.
Yep. So I think the portion of that was over $20,000 just for the cable itself. So
Yeah.
If that's not needed.
If you're not using if this above ceiling is not a return plenum, you don't need rated cable. Make a note of that.
I'm doing that right now. Thank you. And one other update that we did have for a milestone was for the EV charger on site that Littleton Light was going to be donating to the site. The price that came in was, like we said, quite large, and thanks to Mike Scaduto, who gave it a quick run through his estimating software to see where it's at. What we've done is, I'm still working with the numbers, but I've given them the okay to bring provisions out to a handhold outside of the building so that they can continue finishing the inside of the building. They don't have to do any coring through it. Brought that handhold out with the recommendation from you, Mr. Crowley, so that if in the future we want to if there's the resources to put additional chargers in the parking lot, we'll have our handhold there that we'd be able to pull power to.
Excellent. Excellent. Thank you.
So,
Well, does anyone that uses the library, do they have electric cars?
No.
Yeah, but then, you know, with the way the manufacturers are talking, we're gonna see lots of electric cars in the next 5 to 10 years.
Right,
I'm
right.
just
So,
kidding. Mark
yeah.
has an electric car.
So I believe the current chargers at the library are probably in use during normal business hours. I would guess they're probably about 70% occupied. They're
Definitely
they're very popular.
Yes.
Great. If there is an appetite for it, I can show a couple quick pictures from today from our site representative. We've put some of the interior curtain walls in where we're going to see where there's some glazing. It's actually a pretty cool look down on the first floor. I can show these right here. Everyone see that all right? Some of the interior walls that we'll have on the first floor.
Nice.
We currently had a pick yesterday with our HVAC contractor. He put down the condensers in the rear of the building. So these will be feeding the VRF system throughout the building.
Okay, nice. How accessible are they to be maintained? Is there a,
Quite, yes, they'll be able to be assessed from the back of the building. They won't be, there's no obstructions to getting to them.
is it by ladder or walk out from a,
You can walk out to the rear of the building. Yep. Actually, the Cataldo, our site contractor, was prepping the patio out back today. You can see where this is very close to where those condensing units are. So they're doing the prep
Okay.
work right here, which will be poured concrete.
okay.
And let's see if I can find any. They're doing some prep work right now for what the interior certain corridor floors will look like with the sealing of the concrete. So they've gone through an exercise of buffing out the existing concrete right here. They'll put a sealer on it. And like I said, Johnson Roberts was pretty encouraged with the look of it. The concrete slabs themselves came out great. So it's going to kind of give kind of an industrial feel to it on the first floor.
Hey, Brian, is it going to be just concrete with the sealer?
In some areas, yes.
Okay,
The sealer itself, we haven't decided, may have a tint to it. But for some areas that aren't the maker space or the children's areas, that's going to have more of a either a cork flooring or a vinyl floor. The sealed concrete is another option that we have on the finish schedule.
in your like utility rooms where they just put sealer, they don't put any flooring. Can you make sure that they use the blue tint on that sealer? It doesn't cost any more, but it gives a finished look about the floor at the same time as it being sealed, and it lasts for a long time.
And you said blue?
Blue, yeah, or gray, I'm sorry.
Greg? Yeah.
Yeah, the sealer comes in clear or gray.
Mm-hmm.
No extra cost for the gray. But it looks like you got a nice gray painted floor when it's done.
Yep.
Utility areas only. Because I can see these being architectural.
Mm-hmm. And currently they're pulling a lot of, this is the data cabling. This is the Cat6 and Cat5e cabling that's going to be running from all of our workstations back into our IP cabinet. I have been working with Nancy Glencross from Town Hall. She's been helping me getting Verizon as well as Comtrack. There's some of the owner vendors where they'll be pulling service off of Shattuck Street and into our IDF room. While I was there, and obviously I was gone for a couple of weeks, and I apologize, Mr. Dolak, those floor boxes are now accessible in that meeting room. And they're continuing.
Thank you.
And they're doing the corrective work in room 112. I'm going to have an update for you probably by the end of the week.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. And maybe last, we also had a delivery of our vertical granite curbing, which will be going around the perimeter of the parking lot. So that looks nice, and Cataldo's will be mobilizing soon in order to do so. So
That's great.
Yep.
So Brian, do we have an updated completion date?
Yes. So I have next week I'm going to be meeting. I was supposed to have that 2 weeks ago. It got bumped to next week. The preliminary thoughts is that that date of mid-August is holding firm, if not trending slightly earlier than that at this point. So we're still taking that date of that mid-August and telling the owner vendors for furniture and movers, that's when we're going to be using. If I do get this meeting next week that we're getting even maybe a week or two earlier than that, we'll adjust our delivery dates of our metal shelvings and furniture at that time. So, but things are looking very good from that standpoint. I know that we had some allowances for our COVID-19. I'll be having a discussion with them as well, as you know, the mandate on the 29th seems to be relaxing a little bit, as you know, inclusive of construction sites. So from an owner's perspective, we shouldn't be having to see too many more additional you know, accommodations that they put on their requisitions on a monthly basis.
So is Commodore tracking their employees for complete vaccination?
I don't know that. They have their safety. They have a weekly safety meeting, so I'll reach out to their senior PM to find out, you know, what their protocol is going to be going forward. He was a little fuzzy on it this morning when I asked him about it, so he can give me a full update on where they stand on that from a company-wide perspective.
Okay.
I have a question for Brian. Did I hear there was a problem with the moisture in the slab and the adhesion of the tiles, the VCT?
Yeah.
So the Commodore has a $10,000 allowance that we put in the guaranteed maximum price for moisture mitigation in the slab. And that's just pretty much if we can't get the percentage that we need in the slab for what the floor is going to be adhered to it, we'd be using, you know, mitigation measures, whether we're troweling something on in order to lock in that moisture to put down whatever flooring we're doing. The meeting we had on site today, the cork flooring is something that's really kind of picky about what that moisture percentage is. If we can't, we're gonna judge some of our options here. If some of the areas we have our cork flooring isn't really imperative to having cork flooring, then maybe it's not worth spending all the money to mitigate that just to put cork flooring down. If there's another option for us to put on that flooring, we'll be dealing with the Capital Carpet. They're the filed sub bid that does the flooring. So that was discussed today. We're going to go through the floor plan and find out, you know, what areas is it really important that we want it, because I guess it's a pretty cool flooring and it's important to have down in the children's area on the first floor, but maybe others don't need it. So
Brian, can you tell me, now this issue with moisture in the slabs it's not new. I'd say goes back at least 10 years. And as a result, the concrete companies have come up with a mix that includes a moisture mitigation component in it, so that you don't have those high percentages when the slab is finally dry. Did we use that concrete?
We did not put an additive in this stuff, no. So these slabs were standard. There was no moisture additive that was put into it.
All right, Capital knows. I know Capital. They're not gonna warranty their adhesives.
Yeah.
The only
so
thing, the only thing you're going to be able to do is to put epoxy sealer on it, and that's pretty expensive.
Yeah. We'll get the square footage on what exactly needs to go down for the flooring that's been identified for that. So
Ryan, in the future, you've got to use the epoxy. You got to use the concrete. Yeah. Anytime you're putting VCT down, you got to use the concrete with the additive. When we did, for instance, when we did the Russell Street School, the second floor of the Russell Street School is on a deck. That was built in 1960 or 65. You know, the moisture content in that slab was too high for the VCT glue to work with.
Wow.
And it's not the moisture, it's not the water that comes in with the concrete when it's mixed. Concrete has lime in it. The lime pulls moisture in out of the air. And so you're always going to have that moisture content in every kind of concrete unless you get the concrete with the additive. Don't ever let this happen again on any future job.
Right.
Good point, Rich. Anything else on the library, Brian?
Nothing at this point, no. No, we're having a few walkthroughs that are coming up, both from representatives from the MBLC, who's part of the financial stake in the project. We'll be doing a walkthrough with them, as well as, Mark, did you have a walkthrough this afternoon?
Yeah, I was there with the, some of the staff. So, yeah, it's looking good.
Good.
We have to, a couple of things for the, we have to figure out the moving company. There's some issues with getting a moving company that quotes us according to, prevailing wage. So
Yes.
Sam's been having trouble getting accurate prices.
Yeah. Sam sent me that today, and I've reached out to the Department of Labor, and I know that the answer that Sam got is a little convoluted. I haven't answered his question yet, but the long and short of it is, yes, if you're installing things and fastening it in the building, then it needs to be prevailing wage.
And the other piece of information that Pmbc might be interested in knowing is the trustees hit their $1 million fundraising total. So,
Awesome.
Hey, congratulations. Oh, boy.
Great job.
I think we are actually, we might be about $100,000 over it. I'm not sure exactly. But,
That's great.
Wow.
So,
Well done.
yes, thank you. There's roughly $1 million in the town's bank account right now for the project, and then we have $100,000 in outstanding pledges too. So,
Great. Good to hear.
We'll need it for moisture mitigation.
yeah.
Hey, Brian, go ahead. I'm sorry, Mark.
We're still looking at two sources. We put in a grant application to get solar panels, so we should be hearing back I think in July. And
Great.
there's also Jamie Eldridge. We've been working with him about getting it as an earmark in the state budget. So we should be hearing
that's
something
great.
back from that one too soon. So we're looking for those. And if we can't get either of those or get partial of those and we have extra money, we might, from the fundraising, that's a good use of that money as well.
So you would not be using Commodore to do that work, right? You just look to us.
Yes, at this point, I'm thinking the solar panels are going to come after the project is complete.
Right.
And not, yeah, because we want to wait to see if we get the grants or not and what other sources of funds. So it'll probably be coming through Pmbc, but not through Commodore, would be my guess.
A question for you, Mark. Even if you do achieve the grant, you'd probably still have to put that out to bid, correct?
Yeah.
So yes, I believe that's true. Yes.
Okay.
So.
Yeah.
Is there, Mark, is there any plans to put battery storage in the building?
There has not been talk of that at all. No.
Okay, good. Good. That's
How was that meeting, Rich?
it didn't go good.
We'll talk offline.
Battery storage is a big problem right now.
Yeah, that's not good news then. Okay.
Can I ask Brian, when would be the earliest that an AV vendor could get in before the ceiling tiles get put into room 111 to run what they need to do?
For let's call it the first quote that we actually have Steve, he's going to come out to take a look at the remaining screens for the remaining, but are you talking about for the AV in room 111?
Yeah, because we wanted to make certain that they didn't have to take tiles down
right
after they've been installed. We've run into that before.
I'll find out. Let me get that answer for you too. And they're starting to put some of the specialty tiles in where they need to do either sprinkler heads or some sort of things need to come through. They're putting those decorative ones in, but I'll make sure those ones aren't installed, but we can get AV in there to
I'm just concerned about the height of the fascia there and having to work around that as far as the mounts for the cameras.
Okay. All right. I'll find out.
Yeah. So Kirby, if you'd like, we can break some of those ceiling tiles when we put them in, just so it looks like they came in afterwards.
No. Thank you, Steve. That was very kind of you.
Hey, Mark, when the guys are working above finished ceilings, make sure they wear white gloves, please.
Oh, please, yes.
Right. Yep. Okay. Anything else?
We'll blame it all on Kirby.
Yeah, why not? So one last question. Access AV has had a bid out for the other equipment since April 2nd. When can they expect a reply?
Is that the equipment we're talking about from room 111?
Or this is for the non-broadcast environment, right?
I will find out. From April, you said?
Yeah,
Oh,
April 2nd, Steve Brooks had sent it over, and Steve had actually called me and said, hey, are we still doing this? I thought there was more monitors you guys wanted to do, but I don't want to go keep chasing this if you've already got somebody else.
Got it. Yeah,
So-
I've reached out. I actually talked to Steve beginning of this week. He's going to do a walkthrough with Sam tomorrow about the additional
Perfect.
monitors. I'll
Thank
follow
you.
up about his original quote.
That's all I was looking for. Thank you, sir.
Cool.
Anything else on library?
No, did we, apologies, I was a little late. The quote that needed to be reviewed by PMBC for some of the owner supplied vendors from Nancy Glencross, was that discussed before I jumped on?
Are you talking about
The thrift,
that $20,000 one? Yeah,
Yes. Okay,
that's on the warrant. We approved it.
okay, thank you.
Thrive
Yeah.
Networks.
Yes.
Thrive, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, Brian, can you give us a little update on the police station? I understand we had a little bit of interesting activity yesterday.
We finally made it, and we had an incident, immediately on the first day, but we had, we did some destructive work taking down some of the decorative CMU block in the front corner of the police station. In doing so, we shook some dust coming into the training room, and we immediately halted that. I pulled up the spec, had to kind of instruct the GC what their procedures are, and everything needs to be in place before we go ahead and just start ripping block up around the perimeter of the building. I stopped by there this afternoon. They've done one small section in the front corner. I met with the foreman. Was pretty impressed with the way that he kind of took responsibility, and he's ready to put up all provisions that he needs and continue around the front of the building. He's also very keen to the care that needs to be taken in the landscaping around the police, as the chief takes a lot of pride in his landscaping around the building. So that's been heard loud and clear by the contractor. I'll also have a site representative that's going to be there for at least the beginning and ramping up of this project, for the full days while this is happening. And I'll discuss with you, Steve, and weaning him off, how we deem fit.
So
So-
this is not the same individual that's over at the library.
At this point, no, not right now. And I think maybe it might be able to be, as we get up and running, and maybe there's maybe a little less oversight that needs to happen at the police. Right now, I feel it's kind of imperative to have someone there to make sure that we have a good conduit between the police, myself, and the guys in the field right now.
Yeah, I agree.
So that being said, we're hoping in the next couple of weeks we'll have the front facade to be complete, and we'll be organizing a meeting on site probably mid next week with myself, CBI, Arno from CBI, the architect, as well as the project manager from the waterproofing company, to go up and kind of look at their upcoming schedule and look at the what they have put in place to make sure that we're satisfied with the quality of work.
Yeah, we had a meeting on site last week.
Yep.
Arno came out and chose the mortar color. We looked at the laydown area, met with the chief. Pretty productive meeting.
Good. Glad to hear that.
Yep.
I also spoke with the foreman. Sometimes there's maybe a break in communication between the office guys and the foreman, but he does have the schedule that's been put together. He's confident that also can be achieved. So that's good news to hear.
Hey, Brian, about that schedule and the dust that you got in the community room.
Yep.
We have Access AV scheduled to come in and upgrade the cameras to match the hybrid issues and get ready for that on June 8th. So do we have a problem with that, sir? And
I don't think so. I think we'll be okay by then.
when do you think the work would be done so I can then start scheduling meetings in that facility?
So there's going to be two facets here. Once we get the perimeter of that upper portion of the facade done, they're going to do the perimeter of the building. Then there's going to be the headers of the windows that need to be removed, and then the windows themselves are being replaced. And that's going to be towards the end of the summer.
Okay.
So I would say by the end of next week, we are clear past the community room at that point for the perimeter work.
Okay.
And then I'll get a kind of a nailed down schedule on when they're going to start doing window and header work, where that's going to be a little intrusive in those areas.
Yeah, unfortunately, since we lost one of our video rooms in town hall, everybody is now clamoring for the new hybrid model, and I've got few places to do that. So we want to be careful about not doing things when you guys are needing that room. Or
You said June 8th?
June 8th is when we have it scheduled. The police chief thought it would be okay, but I just wanted to double check with you, sir.
I think that's going to be more than okay.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, anything else on police?
No, by next meeting, I should have the same kind of, I've set up my internal software so that our site rep can take a bunch of pictures and we can share with the group. And I can set it up so that at the end of the day, if anyone's interested, they can kind of get a daily report on, you know, the progress that had been done, who was on site, the weather, and maybe some pictures of any, you know, things that are uncovered for unforeseen conditions, if anyone's interested in that.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Cool.
Okay, moving on to member input. Bob,
All set, Steve.
Bartlett,
I'm good, thanks.
Rich,
I'm okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Mike,
I'm good, thanks.
Brian.
Also, thank you, Steve.
Okay, so I do have one item, and it was sent over to us by the Finance Committee. We need to take a vote on signature authorization. So the this is an annual thing. So once we vote on the warrant, I typically sign off on it and, you know, fax it or email it back to the finance accounts payable the following day. If we are still good with me or a designee, which would be either Bob in my absence or Mike Scaduto in both of our absences, as long as we have a quorum, if we're okay with that type of signature approval process, you know, we can vote on that. Any discussion?
I make a motion, we keep it the same.
A
Steve, you
second.
can do it.
Okay, all in favor? Bob,
Yes. Bob Rumley, yes.
Bartlett,
Bartlett, yes.
Rich,
Richard Crowley, yes.
Mike,
Mike Scaduto, yes.
Brian,
Brian Pasquale, yes.
and Steve Moore, yes. And then there's another issue about if we have less than a quorum, how many signatures do we need on the warrant? And I think if we don't have a quorum, we're just not going to have a meeting. So, you know, that's not even an issue for us. So that's the only part of that memo that we need to address.
If it's something
Great.
important, Steve, we could always call a special meeting to get it taken care of.
Exactly. Yep. Okay. Anything else? Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
A second?
Second, Bartlett.
Okay. All in favor? Bob,
Bob Rumley, yes.
Bartlett,
Bartlett Harvey, yes.
Rich,
Rich, yes.
Mike,
Mike Scaduto, yes.
Brian,
Brian Pasquale, yes.
and Steve Moore, absolutely. And thanks for your
Thank you.
attendance tonight. Appreciate it, and we'll see you in 2 weeks.